What I'm about to say might shock you, but in reality, I kinda hate talking about Bitcoin with normal people. We always criticize how people don't know much about money and they don't care to actually know much about money. In some cases, this criticism might be valid because in those cases, not knowing about money could be, well, a life-changing situation. But in most cases, not caring about money is actually normal. Our ancestors lived for many decades and even centuries using one type of money at a time, and to the most part, this type of money that they used worked well for them until it didn't, and when it didn't, everything collapsed along with the status quo, and people had to rebuild and reimagine the idea of money. This is the first time in history where people are witnessing the collapse of money in slow motion. Our economy is mainly protected by the incredible technological achievements and advancements that were achieved in the last couple of centuries. The economy is surviving because of the unprecedented levels of technological advances. It's surviving in spite of the money that we currently use, which is fiat money, and not because of it. However, and even though the economy is surviving, anyone who stored value of their labor in the dollar or any other national currency for that matter saw their savings dwindle slowly but surely. You might say that no, it's not really the case because we've been accustomed to look at the CPI to measure the inflation, and the CPI is at worst like 3% and at best like under 2%. However, the best way to measure this is by looking at two main metrics. First, home value versus income change. Home value is rising significantly faster than the average income since the 1960s, and we all know what happened in 1971. This chart shows how much it has diverted, the home value has diverted from income change. Now, the second one is US monetary M2 increase, which has increased at 8% yearly since 1971, which the infamous event that happened during that year. And it has been increasing by 9% since 2021, since the whole COVID situation. Going back to my initial statement, people don't really care about money. However, they do care about having more money in the nominal sense. But when their money is losing value against important things they want to purchase, such a house, such as a car, and stuff like that, they want to offload this worry onto something else like a passive vehicle. A function that money such as gold performed very well when it used to be the standard. So now this is where the two strategies for these people who are seeking a vehicle, a passive vehicle, come into play. First, people are told you can just invest your savings in the S&P 500. You will see it compounding and multiplying yearly. And by the time you have to retire or you have to use it, it's there nominally greater than your initial investment. However, the average yearly percentage increase of the S&P 500 with dividends reinvested since 1990 is approximately 9.5 to 10.5% annually, based on the historical data up to early 2025. Compare that to the yearly increase in the average house, which we talked about earlier. You're just slightly overperforming it, and now comparing it to the increase in global M2, you're almost not overperforming it at all. Add to that, without sounding like a complete anti-Trump alarmist, but with the current political situation and the tariff uncertainty, we saw how the S&P 500 is highly fragile against political events and unfavorable economic policies. And if we know one thing about the government is that it will always be uncertain with its policies and ever-changing administrations. Second, people are also told that they should buy an investment property or a rental property to rent it out for a passive income. Average house in the United States is currently underperforming the increase in the monetary supply M2. Yes, you might get an income from it, but you have to factor in all the maintenance fees, all the depreciation fees, because also a house could depreciate and the furniture in it could depreciate, all the bills you have to pay, all the property taxes you have to pay. Not to mention that short-term renting, such as renting on Airbnb, are getting highly regulated in touristic cities. Such as in New York, we saw that short-term renters are being asked to fix prices, are being demanded to fix prices, and pay higher taxes on their rent income. And for long-term rents, you are also binded by a contract that you cannot really change for a long time, where the renter always has an upper hand. In some European countries and US states, you're not even allowed to kick out a tenant that is not paying his rent. So ask yourself, do you really want all this headache? Do you really want to get all this risk, additional risk that comes with having an investment property, just to be able to potentially beat inflation? For such a long time, people have been shielded from thinking about money. And it's completely wrong. Regular people with jobs, families, and worries of their own don't want to be thinking about money 24/7. Not every person wants to be a CFA or a finance bro who spends like 8 to 10 hours a day just looking at the financial markets, looking at charts, setting up strategies and whatnot. This is why I hate talking about Bitcoin with normal people, because people don't want to be burdened by understanding money. To them, money just supposed to work, just like everything. It's supposed to work just like electricity works, just like anything in nature works. Engineers want to be busy engineering. Artists want to be busy making art. Managers want to be busy managing. Parents want to be busy parenting. It's a shame, though, that it's hard to get people to listen to you talking about Bitcoin, because once they understand Bitcoin and they adopt it as their standard, they can completely forget about it and live their lives. Bitcoin is a hard neutral asset that will surely beat inflation and multiply your wealth. It's also an asset that cannot be regulated into oblivion, such as you would regulate an investment property. For the last 10 years, Bitcoin has outperformed any other financial instrument, any other asset, any other investment property on the market. And all you had to do is just buy it, store it, learn how to store it. And it's way easier than managing a property, managing a portfolio, or worrying about the stock market. I hate to talk and teach about Bitcoin, but hopefully Bitcoin will be the teacher of the masses and will likely replace investment property and the S&P 500 as the standard.